Welcome to season 2, or I should say, welcome to season numero dos.
God is the illest designer. My only goal in television was to work at TRL. Everything that I have experienced throughout my life led me down the course of the trajectory of my career.
This calling is bigger than you, but it starts with you.
This thing that I'm a part of is greater than the role that I play.
Ooh, somebody write that down right now. What is a day in the life on the set of Rap Dads?
As a journalist, I learned really early that a lot of times when I'm sitting across from an artist, they're promoting a project. So I'm like, what am I going to deliver to their fans that they haven't heard or seen already? So Rap Dads is always great. Because no matter if you're promoting an album, now we're not talking about it unless you're talking about your kids on it.
A lot of things on this creative journey could be derailed by self-doubt. How do you navigate through that? How do you push past your self-doubt?
I'm like, yo, that was mine. Like, why would you take that from me? And like all of it, I'm going off. My knees give out and I fall on my knees. And I just start crying. And I hear God say, never question me again.
Hey, before we dive into this amazing interview, I have to take a moment to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, On the Set Apparel. They are all about quality gear for creators like us, with clothing designed to keep you comfortable and inspired on set, ensuring that you feel and look your best as you pursue your passion. So use code OTSP20 for 20% off your next order. Let's get back to this amazing interview, and don't forget to use that code and tag us for a shout out. Peace. Welcome back to the Ironbound Film and Television Studio here in Newark, New Jersey, home of the exclusive On the Set podcast, where we take you behind the scenes of the captivating world of entertainment. Welcome to season 2, or I should say, welcome to season numero dos. Our guest will get that. I'm your host, Steven Strickland, and here we just don't talk about entertainment. We dissect it. We cherish it. We uncover the moments that shape the stories that we tell. Right? So I want you to join us as we give you an all-access pass behind the scenes of this industry that we live and breathe. We have a great guest for you today. Supervising producer at ViacomCBS / Paramount with 20 years experience in music and television. Director of the documentary Symbol of Solidarity. Creator of several series on Fuse TV. The creative director for MTV Raps USA relaunch, author of The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through the Lens of Hip Hop, creator, host of The Rap Dad Show, and most importantly, a proud father of 3. His lens captures the soul of hip hop, the heart of fatherhood, and the fire of culture. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, everyone under the sound of my voice watching and listening to me right now, with the one, the only, the phenomenal Esteban Serrano.
Hey.
Esteban.
See.
What's up, man? What's up, man? Give me some. Give me some.
That was amazing.
Esteban. So is that's Spanish, man. You know that's the Spanish version of my name, Steven.
Of course.
Right? So it's like Steven with Steven, but
You know
Esteban
what I mean?
is, you know what I'm saying? How you feeling today, brother?
I feel amazing, man. How you living?
I'm what? In living color.
Hey.
But I see West Philly football.
Come on, man. West
where you from?
Philadelphia, born and raised.
On the playground is where I spent.
That's it.
Have you ever met Big Willie? I heard that you lived around the corner.
I grew up literally in the shadow of we call him Fresh Prince.
Okay.
Of the Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ill because that kind of was one of the seeds that led me into wanting to make television, because I would see this dude at the barbershop and then I go home and watch BT or Yo, and he'd be right there. So it made it feel tangible. It made it feel like something that I could really do. Not necessarily that I wanted to be on camera, but that like, yo, that dude on TV. So clearly, you know, West Philadelphians can be on TV. I also grew up in a neighborhood where Channel 6 and ABC and CBS were in my neighborhood.
Okay.
So that also made it very realistic that I could work on TV, because it was literally around the corner.
That's dope, man. That's a perfect segue into what we're about to talk about.
Hey,
All right, you feel me? Ready to get into it?
let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start at the beginning. Every great filmmaker, or every mediocre filmmaker, any filmmaker had to start somewhere. And that beginning for you was being a PA on TRL.
Yes.
On the legendary MTV show. Iconic.
Yes.
TRL. For those who don't know, that's Total Request Live, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow. What was that experience like for you? Your first time, getting on set.
My God, it was terrifying. It was exciting. It was nerve-wracking, and it was a dream realized. Like when I was going, first of all, I was the first person in my neighborhood to have cable. And thank God I got it, because I got it during the crack era. So I wasn't allowed to go outside. So if you're going to be locked in, watching TV was like my escape. And on Comcast at the time, MTV was number 13, VH1 was 14, BET was 15. And my clicker didn't go past them 3 channels. Okay. So I was locked in. And so by the time I went to college, TRL was a juggernaut. And I was like, I want to work on that show. Like, that's the show I want to work on. And I wanted to because it was the like iconic live music show, but they never really framed hip hop in the way that I felt like it deserved to be. I felt like every time a rapper was on, it was a missed opportunity. So I knew that like if I got the opportunity to, be a part of the team and actually help them, produce stuff and if I had some input on some things, that was going to be my mission. Like I just wanted my favorite artists to come to TRL, the most iconic television show for pop culture at the time, and leave with fans in the audience like getting a real understanding of how dope those artists were. So that was like my mission. But obviously you start at the bottom. And even as a PA, the opportunity presented itself for me to work closely with producers and some of the writers on the show. And I was very early in I think I might even have still been an intern, but I went from internship straight into PAing. And Jay-Z was coming. Okay. And it was his Fade to Black album. It was the Black album, but Fade to Black, they were filming that at the Garden. Okay. And he came to TRL for the last hurrah, because he was retiring, allegedly, though he'd been retiring for 100 years now. But at that moment, he was really, retiring. And I was in the meeting when they were, kicking around ideas, and I'm like, all of these ideas are painful. Like, I'm like, all right, and at the time, we weren't even allowed to pitch. We were just in the room to learn, to see how TV works. But no one in the room was of the culture. So I'm like, this is an opportunity for me. So after the meeting, the producer who got assigned Jay-Z, I went into his office. And I was like, yo, I got an idea for Jay-Z. And he's like, oh, what's your idea? And at the time, this guy was the rock guy. Like everyone came, all the rock artists that came to him. And Jay-Z was, still one of the biggest artists on the planet, but he wasn't rock, but they really didn't have anyone who was on that hip hop beat. Right. So I pitched them this idea called Jigga What? And the concept was pull lyrics from Jay-Z's previous singles that had hidden meanings or double entendres. That bar on the show, Jay broke it down that his friend Strick, they would hoop together all the time. And whenever you missed a shot and you didn't follow it up and like try to grab the rebound, he'd be like, yo, finish your breakfast. So that's where that line came from. Fire. And Strick actually flew in just for that Madison Square Garden show. So like I did all the research. I pulled all of the B-rolls of each, line, and Lala hosted it and she set it up very well. Lala also, a lot of people don't know, but is a rapper or was a rapper at a time. Really? So yeah. So she I knew she could deliver it well. So she would like read the bars for Jay. We would play the B-roll and then he would break down the lyrics. And so after that episode, we have a postmortem in the control room, and we're just talking about, you know, the things that went well, things we need to fix. And Jay-Z walks into the control room. And he's like, yo, I've been to TRL a bunch of times. I figure y'all don't even know who I am. This is the first time I've felt like you know who I am. And he goes, I'm going to be the president of Def Jam, and I want to break all of my artists on TRL. So we got Rihanna first, we got Neo first, we got Jeezy first. Wow. All of that one segment, like, established to Jay who that we knew. Right. Like, and we paid him the respect that, you know, he deserved. And so at that point, no one knew that I produced it except for the producer who was assigned to it. So Jay-Z leaves the meeting, and my EP and them, they go crazy, and they're like, we're taking you to a steak dinner. We're talking to the producer. We're taking you to a steak dinner, you know, whatever, you're a made man, you're minted, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just sitting in the cut, chilling. Because I read 48 Laws of Power, rule number one, never outshine the master. I knew that I had set him up in a way that he could never achieve on his own. So all I had to do was just sit back, and I knew that he would need to come to me every time he got assigned another talent. And then eventually, you know, people understood that it was me, but I knew. Did you ever get a steak dinner? No, he never took me out for a steak dinner. He never even took me to lunch at the lodge, like our little in-building cafeteria. Nothing. But I will say this. He taught me how to produce. Even in that moment when I'm, you know, working on this, and he would say, well, how are you going to introduce this? How are we going to tee up each? Like, make sure that the endpoint on the B-roll is right at the start of the lyric. Like, you know, all of these different nuances that I was a PA, you know, a producer is maybe 4 or 5, you know, lines up on the call sheet, but also years of experience before you get to that point. He definitely opened, you know, the door for me to start learning how to produce. But then again, like, my hip hop knowledge was, you know, on full display. So he needed me and I needed him. So we were able to kind of work things out. That's dope. Yeah. So eventually moving from PA to segment producer, right? Yes. How was that leap? How was that different? Like, the creative difference between, you know, PA and segment producer? On set, as a PA, it's more about executing direction. When I was a PA, even when I was an intern, I was really good at, like, anticipating issues or, like, finding pain points from, you know, the producers or the writers and kind of trying to get ahead of it before, you know, they even assigned it to me or even asked me, you know, of it, or ask it of me rather. So it's interesting because there wasn't really a transition from segment producer to PA, because on a show like TRL, especially a live show, there isn't much upward mobility. In our industry, you're lucky if you're on a project for a year. I was on that project for 4 years. People don't leave that project for a PA to move up to AP, to move up to segment producer. You know what I mean? People don't move. So I was still a PA while I was a segment producer. I wasn't given the title of a segment producer until the show ended, because there was no opportunity for me to actually be a segment producer on the actual org chart, because they were only budgeted for 3 or 4 at the time. Gotcha. But because of, you know, because I'm a student, because I'm a nerd, I just would ask. Like, when certain talent came down the pipeline, they knew that I could do it. So then I was just like, oh, you know, somebody's coming, I want to produce them. And they're like, great. And would give it to me. I still did all my PA work, but then I would do my segment producer work at the same time. Big breaks.
Big breaks. Everybody has a moment where there's a big break or big breakthrough, in their career. And not a lot of people know this about you, but you worked on Chris Brown's Fame album,
Yes.
and you directed the Beautiful People video.
Yes.
Man, how congratulations on that. That was
Thank you.
that was a great time in history.
Thank you.
And what was it like just putting that, how was it capturing the video, just the raw joy?
Word.
How was that for you?
That was amazing.
How was that as a mission, and how, carrying that out, how'd that feel?
It was amazing. So I want to take it back a little bit before that, because my saying is God is the illest designer, right? So TRL ends, I'm freelancing around. I was at BT for a little bit. I went to Atlantic Records for a little while, just working on random projects. And I got offered a position at MTV News and had the interview, was told that the position was mine, right? And then I'm like, oh, great. At the time I'm married. My third kid is on the way or just being born. And I got this MTV News job that I think I have. And it comes with benefits. It's a salary. You get a bonus at the end of the year. Like, this is what we dream of in production, especially when you got kids and a family. A week went by and I didn't hear anything. And I was like, yo, what's going on? And I reached out, and it turns out that the person who I'd interviewed with, their roommate lost their job and they needed one. So he gave his roommate the job that was promised to me. And I was pissed, bro. Yeah. I was pissed. I remember, I'll never forget this. I'm leaving my crib, like, after that phone call. And I'm like literally cursing out God. I'm like, yo, that was mine. Like, why would you take that from me? And like I'm going off. And a week later, Chris Brown calls. And obviously, had I taken that MTV News job, I would have never gotten the opportunity with Chris Brown. And I'll never forget, I flew into Miami. We started filming in Miami. Flew into Miami. I walk into my hotel room at the W, and my knees give out and I fall on my knees and I just start crying. And I hear God say, never question me again. But he also was like, you've always had this false sense of control, that you were in control. But now you're 1,000 miles away from your family. So you have to trust me that I'm going to take care of them. And with your career, it's never been you. You've always had to trust me. So that was like one of the biggest turning points in my life, because, again, I thought it was all me up to this point. Right. And I had to be humble and learn that lesson. And so with Chris reached out to me, and I had produced him every time he came to TRL. And he thought of me because, again, I'm a student. So while I was at TRL, I wanted to learn YouTube. I was at TRL from 2004 to 2008. YouTube came out in 2006, and it was starting to really disrupt television. TRL ended because it was no sense of urgency to watch TRL when you could watch your favorite music videos on YouTube whenever they wanted to come out, So it was losing its space, its dominance in music television, because, there was an alternative. Right. So I'm like, I have to learn how to make YouTube content. So Atlantic Records at the time was doing it better than everyone else. They had like a dedicated team. Every new artist they had these different properties and IPs where they would like go to zip codes, where they would go to like Lupe Fiasco's neighborhood in Chicago and learn all about Lupe Fiasco and how he came up, and they would do behind the scenes of music videos and things of that nature. And those were the things that I started to work on. And so Chris's team caught wind that I was creating, a lot of those pieces. And Chris hired me to take his brand back away from television and to deliver content directly to his fans. Because obviously at that time as well, his brand was in the toilet after, the Rihanna situation, and he was making incredible music, but no one was giving him a shot.
Right.
So he saw the opportunity that, if I had a live-in videographer who could help me to, get my fans the content that I want them to see,
right.
then, maybe there's a chance that I can, rebuild this thing. So we got together, and he really hired me because he wanted me to direct the Beautiful People video. It was a docu-style music video. We would play the album for every celebrity that kind of came into the studio or producers that were there. And but I would also just be rolling all the time. So I would capture these moments between scenes or when we were traveling or when he was on stage doing like these little spot one-offs. And so I created this one episode called Breezy Art. And it was just all about like him being in the studio and how he met Big Sean, and Big Sean was in the studio with us at the time. And I just like whipped it together and I showed it to him. And he was like, this is it. This is exactly what I want to do. So I think we wound up doing 8 episodes of that in the process of also capturing about 4 or 5 months worth of BTS for what would eventually become Beautiful People. But then the album Fame went on to, be his first #1 in his career. He won 2 Grammys for R&B Album of the Year. And I think, what was the other record? Oh, Look at Me Now won, Best Rap Song or something like that. So he was back after that project. But I think that was that.
Let's talk about this electrifying NBA Finals spot you did with Mountain Dew. How was that, man?
That was amazing, man.
How'd that come about?
So, when I was at MTV, again, being a nerd, just like wanting to learn as much as I can, across the hall from us was the Direct Effect team. And this was Clue and Lala's show that was all hip hop. And, obviously me being the local, the resident rap nerd, I was always over there trying to like know what was going on, or like put my input if they needed, or if they needed another hand on set, like I'd volunteer. And there was a producer there named Kurt Williamson. And he was producing there. He DJ'd. He was like the coolest dude I ever met because he DJ'd at night and he was like producing during the day. And so he and I stayed close. Like they used to call me like Lil Kurt. Like I was always like, his shadow. And then, fast forward maybe 10, 12 years later, he created this Black-owned production company out of LA called Holland West. And they had gotten the spot. And because of the pandemic, they couldn't travel to New York to direct. So they were like, who do we know in New York that can direct the spot? So he reached out to me.
Nice.
And and immediately I go in. Like I went to the Bronx to scout. I'm like, this is an NBA, commercial. We got to go to a basketball court. Like we have to have that in there. And Jay Tips, he won Sneaker of the Year for his Saucony collab years later. But like Fashion Awards, Sneaker of the Year, like he's huge. But at the time, he was more known for the custom hats that he was doing. And the campaign was called Chase the Crown, which was like a double entendre on like, obviously everyone's chasing the NBA crown, but then, the hip hop crown. Yeah. And then he was making these dope hats, and you could only win them if you were watching the NBA finals and you were doing, like, they had some kind of code that would come up on the screen during the Mountain Dew spots. And if you registered or whatever, you could win a crown, with one of his hats. And so, I got to talk to him a little bit, and, the day before when we're scouting, I'm like, yo, somebody go out and just buy as many fitteds as you can get. I was like, and we're going to dissect them, like cut them up. He's like, well, that's not really my process. Like I do everything on the computer and I don't really sew. I was like, that's boring. No one wants to see your screen, grab of you. I'm like, no, we're going to pen these. We're going to cut these up. Like, it's going to look like you're a mad scientist creating these hats. Like, and he, you know, reluctantly kind of went with it. And like, that's like the gold, I think, in the show. Like, he trusted me, you know, to that my creative would bring his creative to light.
Right.
But, you know, I just had like a vision of how I wanted this to look. It had to be gritty, Bronx. You know, we were shooting under the elevated subway. And then, you know, we had to go to a court. I was like, but I want to see you like in your lab, like cutting these hats up and making them and, you know, looking at different brims and, you know, swatches. Even if that wasn't his process, the world didn't need to know that.
Right.
But like, just for the visual effect, you know, I feel like anything that I do, you have to be able to watch it on mute. If there's no dialogue, if there's no, you know, there's no narrative, you have to be able to watch this on mute and be just as excited to like hear it.
I can relate to that with, you know, me being an actor. When we send in our self-tape auditions, not, I don't say not, but no longer going into the rooms because that's slowly opening back up. But I've said that, and I've heard people say that too. Like, if I can watch your audition on mute and still be affected, that's good work right there.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Absolutely. I've never heard it from that.
Yeah, man.
From that perspective. But
so with all your wins, your wins and your success, do you think that comes from one big break or several other elements? Because some people say there's no one big break. There's a series of breaks.
Yeah,
what do you feel about that in regards to your success?
This is a marathon. And like, again, God is the illest designer. So everything that I have experienced throughout my life has like led me down the course, you know, of a trajectory of my career. My only goal in television was to work at TRL. That was my first job out of college. So 4 years later, I'm like, what's next? Like, I've already done the thing that I want to do. So everything else that I've done in my career has just been me just riding curiosity and chasing what's next. So, you know, again, the relationships that I had created when I was a PA or when I was an intern, those people have come back full circle in my life. When I relaunched MTV Raps here in the States, I called Kurt and said, yo, Holland West has to be the production company that we run through. And I did that, you know, low key because I wanted to get it out of the MTV building so I'd have less notes. But I also wanted to empower my brother, like my team. Right. And that's how we do. Like, he was like, yo, what's this thing that I can do? How can I get a New York director? Esteban. I'm like, yo, what's a dope production company that I can do? I'm like, oh, Holland West. So a lot of the people that I've met along the way of my journey have opened doors, and, you know, that's how I ended up being on air also on TV. Was someone that was a mentor of mine, you know, was like, yo, your interviews are better when you're just in the hallway talking to rappers than what you get when you're sitting beside the camera and they're the only one on camera. You should be on air. And then I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. And then, you know, that's how it happened. So it's all this long, linear travel, if you will.
Okay. So from humble beginnings to big breakthroughs to chaos on the set, chaos on the call sheet, all that good stuff. You've been in many different parts of this industry: TV, commercial spots, documentaries, all those things. Which one, if you could choose one, would you say pushed you the most?
That's a good question. I feel like all of them have their different muscle groups that they, you know, that they exercise. For me, there's nothing better than live TV.
Okay.
Like the fire that is live TV, the way you have to be on top of your game, that you're putting out fires and you're pivoting left and right. What if a guest is late, which happens, and they, you know, I mean, Nas completely missed an entire episode of TRL one time because he was late. You know, New York traffic is what it is sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, there's nothing like that moment. And the beauty of live TV is that when it's wrapped, you walk away. It's not like, oh, we can fix this in post or we have these notes and no. You got to prepare for every possible outcome before you even start rolling.
Wow.
And then you got to roll with the punches during. And then when it's over, it's over.
That's absolutely correct. How do you create in a culture where creativity thrives, but things still get done? Like, would you call that, organized chaos, or would you give that another type of title?
I mean, I feel like the subplot of creating anything is the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be a certain level of crazy to be a creative. You have to be a certain level of crazy to be comfortable with the chaos that comes with creating anything. Mm-hmm. Because you create this idea of what you want to deliver before you even put pen to paper or before you even hit record or do anything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in my experience, 99 times out of 100, the end result is not what I had initially, conceived in my mind. Mm-hmm. So you just gotta be able to roll with it. And you also have to, like, to quote Jay-Z again, you kind of gotta leave the door open to let God in and let him move in a way to make things better than what you could have conceived. Right. You know what I mean? Again, like, I think all I wanted to do was work on TRL. And if that was the end
of the day, you'd have been happy.
I would have been happy. But God had other plans, and I've been able to do ridiculous stuff that if you would have told me, when I was 20, when I was working or when I was in college that I would do, I'd be like, you're on drugs. There's no way in the world that I'm going to be able to work on your MTV Raps. Like, that's impossible.
So you've been in the game for 20 years. You only wanted to work on TRL. But 20 years now in the game, are there things that still surprise you?
Yes. The beauty of television is that it's in tandem with technology. Mm-hmm. So when I first came in the game, everything was on tape and you had to be on cable or TV. Mm-hmm. And 2 years later, YouTube comes out. And then maybe 3 years later, On Demand comes out. And no one has to tune in at a specific time to watch your show anymore. And then streaming comes out. So it's like and then after that, social media comes out. And all of this is content, but it's not necessarily the content that I got in the game to make because it didn't exist when I got into the game. So I've been in the game for 20 years, but the career, the industry has changed 5-6 times in that 20-year span. So it's always new things. And now AI is here. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I get to use this and I can, bounce this off of it, or I can, throw this prompt in and see what comes out. Like, the possibilities are endless. So it's always exciting.
So I mentioned in the intro that you created shows for Fuse TV.
Yes.
And you're creative director, MTV Raps.
Yes.
What's something unique about how those sets were run?
Oh, that's a great question, man. And it's a lot like the way this set is run. Mm-hmm.
This set?
Yes.
Okay.
This set, right? So when I was at Fuse, I created this show called The Hustle, which low-key was a rip of Hugh Hefner's Playboy After Dark. So I encourage everyone to dig through the archives and watch that. So Playboy After Dark was shot at Hugh Hefner's penthouse in Chicago. And it was like during the 60s. And it was a time where racial tensions were super high. And he had like Sammy Davis Jr. on the show. And he'd have like these amazing black performers there. And it was a party. It was a party at Hugh's house. And he kind of navigated through the party and would stop, and at this table would be a politician. And then down, at this other section of the party, there be these journalists and they're having this dope conversation. And then over here at the piano is Sammy Davis Jr. So I recreated that show on Fuse, and I worked with one of my favorite human beings in the world. Her name is Elon Johnson, and now she runs Tyler Perry Studios.
Oh, nice.
But at the time, she was a dope executive producer. And she actually was listed in one of the trades as one of the most powerful women in television recently.
Okay.
And so I shot her a text and I was like, yo, congratulations on, on this, huge accomplishment. Like, I'm so proud of you. And her response was, thank you for allowing me to build an all-woman team around your show at Fuse. And I was like, what show? I didn't even realize it at the time, but The Hustle was all women. All the writers, the PAs, the editor, everyone on that team
Get out of here.
was all women of color as well.
All right.
And so I just thought it was dope. Like, it just was an organic thing. Like, I loved Elon and I trusted her. So whoever she brought in, got that level of trust from me as well. And then we all gelled, and it was a beautiful thing. And then to bring it to Yo, I remember we would shoot between the scenes and behind the scenes of Yo MTV Raps, the American version. And watching back like a vignette that we created about the creation of Yo MTV Raps, Simba, the rapper Simba, is like, yo, I've never been on a set with this many people of color. He's like, yo, everybody here is Black, brown, Asian, Latino. Like, I've never seen, this many people. And that was something that was echoed through a lot of the talent that we had come in. And, so what was unique about those sets was that when I created something that was for the culture, I called the culture to be a part of it.
So a little birdie told me that originally you never wanted to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But you wound up being the host of a countdown top 20 for Fuse TV.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Like, what made you shift and say, yeah, I'm gonna do that?
Really, it was imposter syndrome, which is why I didn't want to be in front of the camera. Like, I'm super dyslexic.
Oh, okay.
So like when I'm looking at a script, the words are moving on a paper.
Wow.
So when you put them on a teleprompter, it's damn near impossible for me to chase them around. And
they're already moving.
Yeah. So that really was the thing that scared me the most. Interviews, I can do. Like, I did the research, I wrote the questions. So me sitting down across from my favorite artist is easy for me to have a conversation with.
Right.
But I'm introing, outroing music videos. I'm doing these long reads, I'm interviewing like random celebrities from movies that I ain't never watched. You know what I mean? Like then it becomes work.
Right.
So what happened with that is when they wanted, because I did so well interviewing, people on camera, they wanted me to take on more of a role, which is why they asked me to do top 20. And I was like, all right, well, if I'm doing top 20, I kind of need to write every word that I say. So we had an amazing writer, and then, she would deliver me the script, and then I would like Esteban it.
Esteban it.
You know what I'm saying? I would Esteban it. And then that muscle of me actually writing it helped me apply it to memory more. So then the teleprompter just became a reminder of where I am on the script. But I needed that cheat code in order for me to be comfortable enough to get in front of the camera and deliver things that like I didn't believe in necessarily, or it wasn't like something that I wrote myself, like an interview would be.
Man, in creating all these shows, what challenges did you face, when creating these shows?
I mean, a lot of times the challenge was depending on the scenario. Sometimes creating these shows, the challenge is people seeing you a certain way your whole career, or when they met you and now you're here and they still look at you like, oh, that's the PA from TRL. And it's like, nah, I'm the dude who directed Beautiful People. I'm the dude who created The Hustle. Like, I'm 4 years removed, 5 years removed from that time that you know me. But sometimes they like to just like keep you,
Try to sun you.
Yeah, they try to sun you. And so, fighting for your right, fighting for you letting them know that you qualify or that you can pull this thing off. Sometimes convincing people to get out of their way is one of them. And then sometimes understanding that, we create in a corporate environment. Like, as creative as television is, at the end of the day, it's a business. So sometimes I want things to work out in a way that is just not for the business. For example, The Hustle that I created was created to be an after show of a scripted series that we had called The Hustle. And that series only had 6 episodes. So The Hustle only had 6 episodes. Now, when you look at the ratings, the after party, The Hustle that I created outrated the lead-in. The show that it was created to support. It outrated that show. And when you look at it from a budget standpoint, I think that show might have cost $60,000 an episode, where the scripted one was maybe $200,000-$300,000 an episode. So monetarily, it makes way more sense for you to keep going with The Hustle after party. But certain people are like, nah, that's just a companion piece. We wanted to round out the hour. That show is a half hour. The Hustle after party is a half hour. So, now that there's no Hustle, we don't need it. You know what I mean? Because that's the way they compartmentalize television, production. I remember, I can't remember the actor's name that plays Steve Urkel.
Jaleel White.
Jaleel White had a conversation one time, interview, and he was like, they asked him how he got to be the voice of Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog, right? And he was like, yeah, so one of the network executives said that, the voice that ends Friday nights, when it was TGIF, should also intro us into Saturday mornings. And that was how he got it's like nobody's sitting there from Friday night into Saturday morning wondering what happened, or like, why isn't Steve Urkel no one cares. But somebody's idea, who had the right to green light stuff. That was the voice of Friday night should also lead us in on Saturday morning. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. But we also have to take into consideration, those corporate folks, the suits, that really kind of run things. And one of the things that I preach to the I won't call them kids, but they're kids. The kids that I mentor is you have to understand when you're hired to be a creative and when you're hired to be of service. Because that's one of the biggest frustrations. Like, don't make the hill that you die on something that don't have your name on it. You know what I mean? Like, my name ain't Paramount, so why am I going to lose my mind fighting nail and tooth for a show that I'm just getting a check for? But a lot of creatives can't get out of their own way. I remember when I was with Chris, we were in Virginia, snowed in, and he wanted to record this music video. And the song was great, and he was just like energetic and wanted to. He saw what I could do, and he was like, "Let's go shoot this video." So like we go to like this abandoned train station, and he's out there dancing and doing all this stuff, and then like his dog just had puppies. So now we got like Chris Brown with like 6 or 7 like these little baby newborn puppies and like all of this stuff. And so we're sitting and we're editing it. And he's like, put this shot here and then put that shot over there and do that there, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, now put your name on it, like directed by Esteban. And I was like, absolutely not. And he was like, why not? I was like, because you directed this. Like, I would never line this up this way. Like, I would never put this shot after this. There's no continuity. There's no narrative. Like, this is just like a montage of stuff we shot. I was like, I can't put my name on that. But I understood at the time, like, I'm here to be creative, But right now, I'm really just here to be in service, and I'm just going to edit this thing together for you because you're paying me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But to his credit, after I told him that I wouldn't put my name on it, he was like, "We'll delete it." I was like, "But we shot it. Like it's there. It's beautiful."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "No, if you wouldn't put your name on it, then I don't want to put mine on it either." So it never came out.
That's different.
Yeah. What I love about Chris, we are very alike in this same regard. As a TV producer, my greatest strength is knowing my weaknesses. I know what I don't know. And so then I have the ability to hire people who know what I don't know, and then I get the hell out of their way and let them cook.
Yes.
And Chris is the same. Like, I don't know anything about making TV or making a music video. I mean, he did all the treatments for his music videos. Like, he was a very creative force in his own career when it came to his visuals. But he also understood that, like, if this dude that I respect, that I hired to do this, is not happy with the end result, then I'm not going to put my name on it either. So music videos, for me, are important, man. Like, that's what I grew up watching my entire life. I wouldn't dare even call this. Now it would be called a visualizer. Yeah. Like, shout out to K-pop for making 15 versions of the same thing. A visualizer would be what we created together. It was just beautiful shots of him dancing or singing the song, but they didn't really have a direction. So it didn't need a director.
Can you tell us what song?
I don't remember. It was a song that I don't think even wound up making the album. Like, that's another thing about Chris. Like, we would go in the studio and he would do like 5 to 8 songs a night.
Yeah.
And so Fame, I think he wound up recording about 70 or 80 records. And I think only 20 ended up on there. And to this day, when I see him, I'm like, yo, where is this record? And where is that record? And how come you haven't put that out yet? And he's gone. He's already made, I don't think, 5 albums since Fame. So he's got hundreds of records done. Wow. Yeah. So the turnaround is ridiculous with him.
There are a lot of moving parts in film and television, from booking the talent to hitting the road and doing the thing and all that stuff. Excuse me. What is a day in the life on the set of Rap Dads?
Ooh.
What is that like? Oh, he perked up. Okay.
Rap Dads is my baby. That's my pride and joy. A day on set of Rap Dads is just coming in. I like to get to set. I don't think we start shooting until 2 p.m. because hip hop also don't wake up till about noon. So I get on set at 10 a.m. and we don't start rolling until 2. Okay. And it really doesn't take us long to build. Shout out to the Algonquin Hotel. They are our location. They're our partners. They give us a beautiful space. It's already ready to go. We light it. We do a few little things, but the set is pretty much already there when we pull up. But I like to get in the room. I like to meet with my team. I like to see what artists I'm interviewing that day and what has happened within the last 48 to 72 hours in their lives. If there's anything that I can skew fatherhood with that, I like to do that. I like to go over my interview lines of questioning. And then we bang out 4 episodes in a day. We just have them slotted, from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And they come every hour on the hour, hopefully. Again, it's rap. So sometimes it don't happen that way, but we build in a little buffer.
They know that you're not going to start without them.
Exactly.
Right.
Unfortunately, they know
a focal point.
But yeah, man. And then we just dive into conversation that they never get to talk about. And that's always been my favorite thing as a journalist. I learned really early that a lot of times when I'm sitting across from an artist, they're promoting a project. So they've been talking about this project to every outlet that will give them, time. So I'm like, what am I going to deliver to their fans that they haven't heard or seen already? So that's like my thing. So Rap Dads is always great because no matter if you're promoting an album now, we're not talking about it unless you're talking about your kids on it,
right?
Or you're something fatherhood related has come up on that, on that project. Like we had Benny the Butcher on, and he had Chevy P's caddy, and that was his stepfather. And so we launched into this whole conversation about his stepdad and Johnny P's caddy. And we launched into the whole convo about Johnny P, and like he was the hardest working man I ever met. And, he came in, he was like, back in the day, like I was selling crack and I had a gun, but anytime he would yell at me, I would cry. And I'm like, wow, that's the power of a father. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I get to have those types of convos with like some of my favorite thugged out rappers.
And how do those, how does capturing the conversations that you do on the road, how does that have an effect on how the story unfolds?
No. When we had the Sprinter, we would pull up wherever. It was really, again, me, the producer brain. Rappers are always on the move. And for me, it's the fastest way to a yes. So if I eliminate, I got to travel here. No, I'll pull up. Where are you at? You at a meeting with a label? I'll pull up. We got Benny the Butcher outside of Def Jam. We got Jim Jones outside of the studio in the Bronx. Like wherever you are, if I need to get the fastest yes possible. So I'm just trying to eliminate pain points or eliminate things that could potentially turn a yes into a no. So we came up with the Sprinter idea of pulling up on artists wherever they are. And we partnered with Rolling Loud, which was dope because then we would just ride around LA getting all of these different rappers. And it was like, you can come on the grounds. And we came on the grounds. Find a spot that's off site. We can pull up. Just pull up to the hotel. We can pull up. So that was kind of the creative behind the Sprinter.
Okay. You built like this, a full ecosystem of family, podcasts, music, vlogs, storytelling. Like, how do you come up with those ideas? Where do those ideas start from?
I have a family full of creatives. And in hindsight, I don't recommend that to anybody else.
Okay.
It's tough. You know what I mean? Like my wife is ridiculously creative. My sons are ridiculously creative. So a lot of times the things that we create are things that we don't see. And, it's tough. And I joke with my wife sometimes because we'll sit down and like just watch Netflix. And she'll be like, why did they take this shot? Like, why did they cut to this? Or like, I don't really like this angle. Or it's like, and I'm like, girl, can we not work right now? Can we just watch TV together?
I can relate.
You know what I'm saying? So like that, but that's how much we're always on. So it's beautiful when I get to see my wife like execute. She wrote a book called Kaliya'an, which is about the 9 women who fought in World War II from the Philippines, she's Filipino. So that was something, that was amazing. Like who can write a children's book about war and not mention an enemy and not mention anything violent or crazy and then make it about heroines, like these women, you know what I mean? Like that was just an amazing, execution on her part. Seeing her like win awards and get her flowers for that, it's just like, it's more rewarding than stuff that I've done.
Oh, wow.
Like I've seen my sons perform their music and like watching them in pure bliss, like not a care in the world, just like damn near an out of body experience. Like that's far more dope than anything that I've shot or created on my own. So those are the rewarding parts of it. But the downside of it is that we always got somewhere to go. We always got to shoot something. We always in post on something, or we always were meeting about something. So it's a tough life. But like, I don't think because we're creatives, I don't think we could have it any other way.
So piggybacking off of that, because you wear so many hats, director, cinematographer, producer, dad, how do you balance that? How do you balance each role in your life?
There's no such thing.
Ooh.
Like a balance is the illusion that we all like to think that exists, but it doesn't exist. I think, again, being in a creative family, there is a lot of space held. There is a lot of understanding. There's a lot of empathy for the fact that I may not be around, or mom may not be around, or like it's Mother's Day and you're getting on the bus to come see mommy the day of because you had a show or a session the night before. Right. Like we all just kind of understand because we all create. We prioritize family time and we prioritize spending time with each other and supporting each other, you know, through our creative journeys. But because we're creatives, we also understand that sometimes, you know, we're not going to be around, or sometimes it's just not possible to make this thing. And we kind of all get it.
So we have this thing here on the Set podcast called the staple question. And what that means, you like that?
I do.
And you probably know what that means, but I'm going to tell you what it means.
For the people.
It's for the people. It's for you, the guest, because you're sitting in that chair. We ask every guest the same question. Are you ready for that question?
Let's go.
All right. What is the one word? What one word captures being on set for you and why?
The one word that captures being on set for me is meditation. And I say that because no matter what, for anyone who's ever tried to meditate, right? You sit down, you quiet your mind, and like a million things are going on around you at that time. But you have one singular focus. And on set, your singular focus is executing this show. Meditation is what it's like for me to be on set.
When did you start meditating?
I was blessed, man. I was born to a mother who was a yogi. So my mom, I think she started practicing yoga at 16 and she had me at 20. And so I've been meditating pretty much my whole life. And meditation, just for people out there that don't know, there's a lot of different forms of meditation. It's not just sitting down with your legs crossed and your eyes closed. Like there's a lot of different ways to meditate. So I've been practicing different meditations my entire life.
Okay. All right. So you've worked on many projects, many platforms, and now you're building things of your own. You're building something of your own. Can you tell us about what that is?
Yeah. Right now, my wife and I are finally creating our production company together, Audio Vision.
That's the name of it? Audio Vision?
That's the name of it, yeah.
Right,
Audio Vision. Yeah. So we've had these starts and stops of creating something together. But lately, I'd say within the last 3 years, she's really gotten into like short film directing and storytelling. And, you know, I've always been a storyteller. I've always directed and produced. So now we were like, you know, let's do something together. We always work on everything together. So why not like make it, you know, official? And just, you know, on that. So when we had our second son together, we had a crossroads in our family, because she was working in the industry and I was working in the industry. But we had this second son and we knew that our family was going to be our number one priority. Like, and we also knew that we were raising little aliens. Like they weren't going to be normal kids because she's an alien and I'm an alien. So there's no way a normal kid comes out of that.
Facts.
And so we were like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Are you going to stay home or am I going to stay home? Is that, you know, do we move to Philly and like get some help from my family, which we tried. And then we quickly ran back up the turnpike and came back to North Jersey. But my wife decided that she would sacrifice her career trajectory to stay home and raise our sons. And I told her, when the boys are at a point where they are a little self-sustained, then you can run. Like, then it's your turn. And she really took to that. Like, as soon as, like, my youngest son now is 15 years old. My oldest is 21. My middle son is 18.
Nice.
So everyone is of age to kind of take care of themselves. And so, yeah, she's kind of like burst like a cannon back onto the scene. So Audio Vision is going to be the projects that we get to work on together that are passion projects and stuff that we love, to do. It's not going to be a production company. It's not going to be like a boutique thing and we're going to do like take little things for checks. Like it's going to only be the projects that we want to work on. And we're blessed to be in a position that we can do that now.
Nice. I just want, remind you that I'm an actor.
Yes.
I'm an actor first. Just saying, if you ever need, an actor.
With range, too, because you can be Esteban or Steven.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
I can be that papa. You want me to be Esteban or you want me to be Steve?
There we go.
Either way. 2023, you created the 10 Commandments, the 10 Dad Commandments, and which is a unique look on fatherhood through the lens of hip hop.
Yes.
Since then, have your thoughts on fatherhood changed? I know we're not too far removed from 2024, but 2023, but have your ideas changed?
It hasn't changed. The 10 definitely remain locked solid. I'm definitely thinking of adding a few on, if anything.
Okay.
But my fatherhood is evolving. You know what I mean? Like my sons are now, my oldest son is 21. You know what I mean? My middle son is 18 and they are going into real life business. So that dynamic of, them kind of doing what I tell them to do to an extent is kind of really off the table now because they are whole adults that don't need me to sign anything for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Think about that. Like I could hang over their head. Well, you still need a guardian on set, fool. So you can't really be now.
You still
they
need
don't
parental
need me.
consent.
Yes. They
Now
don't
they
need my parental consent anymore. So my relationship with them has to evolve to one where they look at dad as an advisor. They look at dad as someone who adds value beyond just being dad and being able to be the on-set, guardian. So that dynamic is something that I'm even working out now. And it's going well. Like I will say, like, I have that type of relationship with my sons where they trust me and my advice. Sometimes very reluctantly. They'll go kicking and screaming, but at the end of the day, they're like, no, dad, like, he doesn't have any skin in the game. Like, dad's not asking for a check or a percentage of the things that we make, like some other people who are going to be advising us. So maybe we should listen. You know what I mean?
So with symbol of solidarity.
Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah.
You feeling that one? I mean, you told a deeply personal story, while honoring a huge, larger movement.
Yes.
How did you navigate through that fine line between your truth and the overall collective, impact?
Symbol of Solidarity is a documentary, and my partner Eric Blackerby, who was helping me to tell that story, kept reminding me that documentaries are made to be not biased. So remove yourself from it. When I wanted to kind of lean it toward, Black power and, things of that nature, he's like, yo, all of that is already in the story. So just tell the story. You don't have to lean the audience one way, or try to skew them in a certain way. Like the evidence is here.
Facts.
Everything is already, on the table. People can see what this thing is. We don't have to spell it out for them. And just for some context, Symbol of Solidarity is a doc that I'm working on about a Black artist named Brian Bowens who lives in a predominantly white suburb of Philly. And it's set during the summer of protest, right after George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and more. And he felt compelled to speak out and share what he was feeling. And he's an artist, a fine artist. So the best way he communicates is through art. So he painted what he calls the symbol of solidarity, which is a multicolored fist that is made of like different paint colors and all forming the fist. And he displayed it at like the vigil that the town had for, George Floyd. And the symbol started going viral. And the businesses in town were like putting it in their storefronts. People were requesting that, like, lawn signs. The NBA was in the bubble at the time because this was also during the pandemic. And the NBA, they had it on like different parts of the campus in the bubble. Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham from the Philadelphia Eagles wore the symbol of solidarity on his cleats, during the season. The artwork was really starting to, get out there. And then they wanted a mural erected in the town. This predominantly white town wanted this symbol to be the symbol that represented their town.
Wow.
And a lot of the white folks there did not want that symbol to be representing of their town. And they're, and that's kind of where the dynamic of the doc. Mind you, he's a fine artist, right? This graffiti will ruin my property value. And it's like, your property looks like a crack house, an unkept crack house with concrete over the windows. That property, is you worried about property value for that thing with no windows?
What value?
Right, exactly. So, those arguments that we hear throughout history about how like our stuff will devalue things, or like, the fist is communist and what's wrong with a good old American flag to represent how, all of those things came up during that film. And I'll say this because we're on the set podcast, right? I'll say this for all the artists out there. Of all the things that I've created in my career, that's probably the least attractive thing I've ever shot. I shot it in the pandemic. I had one camera. I had no crew. I was doing the audio, the video. I had hired PAs to help and like volunteers from this. It was like, I cringe at shots that are in that film, right? That film became the catalyst for the first ever day of racial healing in the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And now we're 4 years. For the last 4 years, the day after Martin Luther King's birthday in the state of Pennsylvania is the day of racial healing. And that's something that was birthed out of my film. The governor reached out to us, had a huge press conference in the same place where the vigil was held, and announced that this forever will be. It's written into law in my state, in the state where I come from, in Philly. You know what I mean? So a lot of times artists and creatives, we are so precious about the things that, we are creation. And like, it needs to look like this, and I can't believe it. If I got stuck at the fact that it wasn't shot to perfection and it never came out, we would never have the day of racial healing. So it's important sometimes, it's more important sometimes, the intention behind something and the story of it. People resonate with that film, and I just sit there like, you know what I mean? So I think that was a huge lesson for me in my career as well.
Okay. What you have in sitting here, not only with this information that we have, but to hear you tell your stories, you are an impactful person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How does that make you feel knowing that you have made an impact, whether you were publicly acknowledged or not? Like from the story of, the producer that produced Jay-Z, but it was you. And then now, from, the Day of Peace, right? How does that feel to you, knowing that you've had and you still have a major impact on media, on life, on perspective, and all that stuff?
It's an amazing bonus. It's an amazing byproduct. Like, I'm not doing it intentionally.
Right.
I'm doing it out of service for hip hop, or out of service for like my culture, or out of service for the stories that I'm trying to tell. It just so happens that I'm very conscious of what I'm doing, and I only want to put my hands to things that I feel like would make the world a better place, or that would, make me sleep well at night. I could have done, after Chris Brown, I could have went out and shot I could have been one of the biggest music video directors, whatever, but that necessarily wasn't what I wanted to do. I had a very clear intention that goes all the way back to TRL. I want to make sure hip hop is presented in the best light humanly possible. I'm from West Philly. I came up in the crack era. I never shot a gun. I never sold a drug. I'm straight edge. I've never taken any drugs or drank, in my life.
That's great.
So all of the things that they say hip hop causes is bullshit, because look at me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. That's great, man. You have a great mindset.
Thank you.
Which leads me to, you're welcome. You're welcome. A lot of things on this creative journey could be derailed by self-doubt. Right? How do you navigate through that? How do you push past your self-doubt?
Word. That's a great question, man. And it's something that you battle with throughout the journey, especially when you get opportunities that can feel larger than you. Like when I got the opportunity to help relaunch MTV Raps in Asia first, then UK, then here in the States. Like, a lot of people are like, why y'all doing that? Don't touch that. It's an institution, leave it alone. So you do start to be like, yo, can I really bring this back and do it justice? Even with the Mountain Dew commercial, and it's like, I never directed a commercial, but like, am I in over my head? But God gives you nothing you can't handle. And I feel like if the opportunity comes to me, that I can take it on. Another example, right? So I get the Chris Brown, I meet with Chris and we discuss like what we want to do. And he's like, give me a list of equipment that you want. And I was like, cool. And I sent him a list. And he's like, nah, man, this ain't it. Like, I think the list was maybe $5,000 or $10,000, right? He's like, this ain't it. Give me a list of stuff that we need to really bring this thing, to fruition. So I sent him an $80,000 equipment list. And he's like, this is it. Let's go. I didn't know how to use anything on that list. I actually got my now brother-in-law and one of my best friends, Godfrey Tabarez, I got him to write the list. And it was a bunch of stuff I never touched. And so the week before, I ripped every YouTube tutorial I could find on all of these different pieces of equipment. When I landed in Miami for the first night, was the first time I'd ever touched any of that equipment. And I shot probably 40% of Beautiful People that night. The scene with Pharrell, the scene with Lil Wayne, the scene with T-Pain, all of it. Like a lot of the anchor of Beautiful People was shot for the first time I ever held the equipment. Wow. So like that's the type of faith that I have, in my abilities and in the fact that like God gives you nothing you can't handle. So I'm just, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to combat my doubt with preparation. Like that's how I look at doubt. Anytime I'm like afraid of something, I'm examining it like, what is this coming from? What do I think I don't know that I just need to shore up in so that I can be confident in myself again? So that's how I combat doubt.
All right. So here it on the set, we definitely want to drop gems and pass it, pay it forward to the next generation of creatives. What advice would you give someone that wants to pivot? Again, I've learned to love that word. From Marlon.
Yeah.
And then hearing all you other creatives, behind the scene creatives use the word pivot is amazing. What advice would you want to give somebody that wants to pivot, like maybe from a writer to directing?
Depending on what resources you have at your disposal, dive in. If you know a writer, like just ask if you can apprentice or intern with them. Take as many classes and courses as you can find on it. One thing that I do, and I learned this from my father, is I have an hour a day that is just mine that I use to learn something new.
Okay.
An hour every day I use just to learn. Wow. So if you really want to pivot your career and you have access to someone who is where you want to be, then add value to them. Mm-hmm. Pick their brain. Yo, is there any way, if we're using writer as an example, if you need any help researching, you need anyone to proofread for you, like, just make yourself a resource. So, and in doing that, you will learn a lot of the game, and then just nerd out and dive in as many educational things as you can get.
Just nerd out.
Nerd out, bro.
Just nerd out. Man, this has been great.
Thank you, man.
I kind of don't want it to end just with all the episodes, but it has to end, man.
It does. I got to pick my kids up anyway. So.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, that is, everybody, that is a wrap on another great episode of On the Set Podcast. Another unforgettable episode. Esteban reminded us today that this work isn't just about performance. It's about presence, about power, about purpose. And whether you're in front of the camera or behind it, remember, this calling is bigger than you, right?
This thing that I'm a part of is greater than the role that I play.
Oh, somebody write that down right now. Please, seriously. In all realness, somebody write that down. Well, you're going to remember it.
Of
course.
Just
tell it to me again.
Okay.
And
I'll text you.
I'll put it. Yeah. Do that. This calling is bigger than you, but it starts with you, right? So it starts with you. Before we get out of here, Esteban, can you tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and learn all about you and things like that?
For sure. I'm on IG. It's very long in Puerto Rican. It's the Esteban Serrano. Just Google that and you'll find me. That's really pretty much the only place I'm at. I would say LinkedIn, but I ain't on there. I'm not on Twitter anymore. Like,
your resume speaks for itself. People finding you.
Yeah.
You don't got to put yourself. They know.
You can find me. Find me on the Rap Dad Show.
But there you
YouTube,
go.
The Rap Dad Show.
There you go. And if you want to follow me on Instagram. I am Steven Strickland. On Facebook, you can follow me, Strictly Talent One. Remember, every creative, every filmmaker, every visionary, they started somewhere. So keep creating, keep pushing, and keep telling the stories that matter. I'm your host, Steven Strickland. As always, remember, do what you love and love what you do. We'll see you on the set. Peace.